Hi, I'm Paul Stradowski, president of HR Partners, a human resource consulting firm in Blairstown, New Jersey. Please excuse my slang. I dislocated my shoulder. I wish I had an exciting story to tell you about how it happened, like I fell off my polo pony, or I crashed my Ferrari while racing at Watkins Glen, but I don't. I tripped over my dog. Nevertheless, I will happily accept any sympathy calls. The reason for this video today is the third in a series of management principles that I use in my consulting practice. Today's is the importance of measurement. When I first started my consulting practice 25 years ago, I decided to devote a certain percentage of my time to an area of human resources that I thought needed improvement. And I selected performance reviews for a number of reasons. One of which was they were very subjective, and employees often thought that their boss unfairly rated them. At that time, typically there were rating scales involved in the process, typically a 1 to 5 process. Now, I worked for companies that were heavily populated by engineers, so you would get ratings of 3.75, 2.96, which of course were not any way possible to substantiate. So I decided it was important to set specific objective measures to rate performance. Now, you can't measure everything, so I decided to use the Pareto principle to focus on the things that an employee would do that truly impacted the business. Typically only 3 specific objectives. Now, Pareto was an Italian economist who in the 1800s observed that a few people had most of the money. That might still be true today. During the 70s and 80s, during the quality movement, Joseph Juran adopted Pareto's idea in what he called the Pareto principle. In any group of factors contributing to a common effect, relatively few account for the bulk of the effect. That became known as the 80-20 rule. And that's what we use in setting performance measures. Now, there are 3 performance measures that we use. 1, quantitative, specific objective measures. For example, number of claims processed, dollars per settlement, dollars per sale. Second, and very important, qualitative. Not many processes measure the quality of work. That's just as important as how much you do. There's 2 basic ways of measuring quality. How will my internal or external customer measure my results? Or what's the best practice or best way we've done this in the past? And we use that as a template. The third measure is time-based. What's the rate or milestone that we need to apply to this particular measurement? For example, return all customer calls the same business day. The average time to resolve a claim. Now, why are these things important? The more specific you measure things, the easier it is to set improvement objectives. I'll give you an example. I was doing this process for American National Can in Chicago at their headquarters, and this particular session had 10 graphic artists who do the design work on the cans. So we got to this point of measuring quality, and they said to me, okay, Mr. Z, how do you measure art? Well, I did what most consultants would do when they're stumped. I said, let's take a 10-minute break. That gave me a few minutes to think of what to do next. So I asked them when we got back, what project are you working on now? And I said, well, we have a very important project for Sprite. They want us to come up with a new design on the Sprite can. And I asked them, well, what do you know about what Sprite is looking for in the can design. And I said, well, we know a few things. First, we know they want to use the same font that they use in their print advertising to be consistent. We also they know they want to use the same colors that they use in their print advertising. Pantone 243 green and Pantone 262, which is a blue. And we also know that they want to have bubbles on the can because they're about to embark on a TV campaign that will feature dancing bubbles. So within a matter of a few minutes, the artists were able to give me a few things that the client was looking for in the can design. Now, why is that important? Well, if they had just gone to the client with the new can design and showed it to him, there's only two things the customer would do. Is one, well, it's okay, or two, that sucks, give me something else, without knowing what to do next. Well, I went to the customer and here's what actually happened. They said, we're here to present our first new can design on the Sprite can. We know you want the font to be the same as in your print advertising, so that's what we've used. We know you want the background colors to be the same as your print advertising, so we've done that with the blue and the green. And we know your next TV campaign is going to feature dancing bubbles, so we featured bubbles on both sides of the can. Well, the customer looked at the can and said, well, you know, if you just shift the Sprite logo at a 45-degree angle so that the customer will be able to see the full logo on the side of the can when it's on the shelf, you got a deal. They accepted the design, and that's the design you see on a Sprite can today. The more specific you can be in your measurement, the easier it is to figure out what to do next to get better. That's how you develop a process of continuous improvement, or as the Japanese say, Kaizen.